Welcome back to Seablock. Today we're going to be heading into a new area entirely, and that is to head towards advanced circuits. Now, we've already got the green circuits, and we're already producing red and green science. You can see here, this is a thing that creates both red and green. In fact, let me just grab a few red there, just to actually just dump in the box down here. Yeah, they can go in there. Yep, so you can see we've got red and green. That's coming out and into our science labs here. What we're actually going to need at some point, I imagine soon, is blue science. And let me just see if that's available in FNER. Yep, science. So it's called a unilived atomic manipulator. Blue science. Okay. There is also this one, the sort of dark green science pack. I'm not going to worry about that until that's sort of more limited, I think, in scope in terms of what you need it for. But blue science definitely is the next major thing we need to get to. Fine, but it has a bunch of different things to make. Femto laser arrays, I'm not going to worry about that one. We are going to need to make both, but this is definitely not going to be in today's episode to get blue science. It's all the prerequisites that we need to get to first. So in atomic sensors arrays, there is an advanced circuit. This is the normal red circuits you're aware of from vanilla Factorio, and we need to get to those, which require some other steps. And it requires advanced electronics, which we don't have yet either. You can see we recognize three of the ingredients here: electronic circuits, aluminium, and copper plate. All three of those, yeah, it's fine. So really what we're talking about is making electronic circuit boards. And you can recognize two of these, solder and basic electronic components we're already making. Yeah, so we're already making those. Transistors and circuit boards, not so much. Okay, so circuit boards has a bunch of different things, of which two things is new. One is ferric chloride. Ferric chloride, if you don't know what it actually is in real life, it's generally something that will which will absorb copper. It's used to remove, if you've ever seen a blank circuit board, it's just basically a like fiberglass with a thin layer of copper on it, and you can mask off part of it with various different methods, and you put it in ferric chloride, remember rightly, and if you do that, it absorbs the copper, eats away at it apart from what's masked, and then you just wash it all away and you end up with just the traces of the circuit board. So there's your sort of lesson for today. Anyway, there's also phenolic board, which in this game is just resin and wooden board. I'm not sure what it actually is in real life. I thought it was going to be a plastic, but maybe not. I always remember, I think phenolic also sometimes has linen embedded in it to make it quite a strong material. You can sort of craft it for various different uses in machining. But let's not go there. I think that's what phenolic is. Someone can correct me below if I'm wrong anyway. So resin and wooden board. Well, we already know we've got wooden boards. We've already made that. Resin, well, that's going to need a few bits and pieces. Liquid resin, and that comes from ethanol and raw biogas, but there may well be other things in here as well. Yeah, different types of gases, and that's fine. And then bioresin, we need to get to temperate trees. Now, temperate trees I haven't covered so far. We've only covered desert trees. And it depends really where we're actually exploring. It's going to be further and further out. So I haven't got to it yet. So as soon as I get... Well, I've got like 2,500 sand, but that's not going to get me far enough out. Remember, we've got all the biters on various islands as we head further out. So we're not going to do that today. That leaves... so that's the phenolic side. And that leaves ferric chloride. What can we do here? That is just iron ore. Well, we definitely can get iron ore. That's easy enough. And hydrogen chloride. Okay, so that's chlorine and hydrogen. We know we can generate both of those. So that's not too hard of a thing to solve. Okay, we've already made... I'm almost sure we've made the chlorine. Yeah, because you can split saline water, basically seawater, into the three things here. And since we're already making it up here, water is being split. And here we have an output that's just being basically thrown away. And oh look, this other one is also happened to be the same thing. Now they are different ratios, but in order to make hydrogen chloride, you need to be the same ratio. So all we really need to do to make sure that we have that available somewhere is just basically get rid of the excess hydrogen if it's ever too much. So one overflow valve will actually do, and then you can basically make it as part of the rest of this whole thing. Of course, if you are backed up on sodium hydroxide, that's the solid stuff, it will stop everything else from working. So you're going to want to have some solution in case you're backed up on that. But this will make alumina, and we can obviously store it, which we have been doing so far. So that's that. Yes, so let's go and pop down here. Circuit board, here we go. So we can make the ferric chloride right now, and we... Do I actually have tanks? Tank. Do I have any means of storing liquids? Yet. Filtration unit, no. Small inline tank, not exactly what I was looking for. Petrochemical oil tank. Is that any fluid? Yeah, any fluid. So stone bricks, iron pipes, and steel plate. So yes, we do have that. Why don't we just get that started? It should be quite an easy thing to do, and we've already got space in here anyway. So ferric chloride, let's get started. We just need a chemical plant to get started. Chemical. Do I already have one in my inventory? Chemical plant. No, I don't. So I'm just going to need iron, and I should have quite a lot of iron. It's probably going to be up here in this box. Yeah, let's just get a few bits and pieces of iron and a chemical plant. So yeah, let's just take which one has got the faster crafting. Not that it matters because we're stockpiling, or we will be stockpiling. Let's get one of those made. How about one of our tanks that we were just looking at? You need stone bricks and iron pipe, but stone bricks are down here. They get made into a box that periodically picks them up. So there's a tank. Okay, and we'll just get one of those. I think that's quite a large tank if I remember rightly as well. 80,000 capacity, and then there is a says gas tank that will hold also any fluid, but 125,000. So I'll make one of those as well, and we'll compare the sizes, actual physical sizes in the world, as to which one we actually use. And then we want an overflow valve. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I've even already got one there. So let's get this set up. We have this here, which is our alumina. We're also going to want to maybe store this somewhere else. So I'm just going to take off this belt for now, because it's easy enough just to really dump that there. Okay, I clearly don't need any more room than that. Then out on this side, we can get rid of these and get rid of temporarily our two flare stacks, and then we can get our sort of chemical plant in and running. So we're going to have two of them, and the excess one is going to be the top one. And these, you know, I'm going to pick this recipe and watch the inputs be the other way around. Let's see if that's actually the case. Am I lucky or am I unlucky? Hydrogen chloride. Oh, I'm lucky. Okay, it makes a change. I will happily accept that. That's not a problem. So let's bring it in and bring these in as well. Okay, and both of those will work. That's fed out. This is where it is, and you can see already it's blocked by this. There's nothing else that's inputting here, it's just water. So we're going to need to actually get that solution pretty soon as far as how to get rid of this in here. So we just bring that output to the top, and we'll do the same thing on the bottom as well, to be honest. Yeah, so we're going to have a flare stack on both sides, and that should just make sure that it just gets rid of anything that's excess. Okay, do I have room there? I do not. I'll just put it this way, and let's put it that way. Okay, that's going to need power, but we're already in a building, so that does not matter at all. Which means that's terrible. That's terrible. Why would I do it that way? Sometimes things are a little odd. So that's going to work fine. As long as I get rid of ore, I basically buffer this stuff. You know, if this isn't being used, I want it to be buffered. And we can do that with a warehouse, which I already have one. And of course, we can just feed that straight through with various different methods. Yes, so why don't I just get rid of that? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that enough to get this in place? 6. Yeah, let's put it there. And as I've said before, you can just use a loader, but in this case, I'm not going to. I'm just going to actually create a insertion. There it goes. That'll start everything up, which should mean stuff will get flowing into here, which will produce hydrogen chloride. Okay, so hydrogen chloride, we need to go back through here. So advanced circuits, electronic circuit boards, ferric chloride, hydrogen chloride is that. And we can put that wherever we want. And I'm just hoping, it says fluids for these tanks, but I'm not worried whether we can actually just store gases as well. But let's give it a try and let's see if this actually will store both of them. So let's just see. And it looks like you will. And that is storing lots. Okay, so we'll have that available whenever we start this whole process up a little bit later. Let's just take a look at the other ones. This is petrochem. It's a little bit smaller. It's 3x3 instead of 4x4. But otherwise, they both look quite good. In any case, that can be fed out or just stockpiled as much as we like for the moment. It, of course, does need to be combined with iron ore, but there is a nice source of iron ore coming through here. So maybe, if I get this going somewhere, how can we actually do this? I think we can just get it running here. If I just get that going, I can pick this up, that, and then I can just borrow. I say borrow. We're going to permanently borrow it, going this way, and we can just send that. Annoyingly, that is extremely annoying placement. Yeah, where are my other stuff here? Let's just get that going there, and we can bring it around. Unfortunately, but it will actually work. Okay, and that does mean I'm just going to wipe this out, because I think I'm just going to process it straight away, turn it into ferric chloride, and then we'll buffer that instead of everything else. Which means I'm going to get some basically ingredients here. There we go. I'm going to get a little bit, just a tiny amount of iron ore. And this is the only coming from our aluminium supply, if you're wondering where that's coming from. So it's not our main supply at all, and we can probably spare it. So that means I can travel back through here, and circuit boards, ferric chloride. So it is made in another chemical plant. Just combine both of them, and then we should be able to output our ferric chloride. So off we go to a chemical plant again. Yep, any should do. And then we've got to figure out where we actually want this to be put. So yeah, we're going to have to move this to a tank somewhere. Maybe I'll put the tank down here. It doesn't matter really where. We can build it wherever we like in here, and that will do the job. There's our chemical plant, and we're going to want to maybe feed that up top like that. Okay, and ferric chloride is going to be that one. Yep, so the input doesn't matter there. And I think I'm just going to send it underground. I'm not even bother doing anything else there. Let's just shortcut this whole thing. Okay, so one coming in, one going out. At least for the moment. That's producing ferric chloride. Good. So I'm going to use the smaller one then for the moment, and we'll use the larger one later. And I think I want this to come in and go out sort of here maybe. And then we'll just connect this up like this. Hopefully you will accept this. Any fluid? Does it need to be centered? Well, it can't be centered. Oh, maybe it's like the, yeah, that looks like it's more like the vanilla tanks. If it's like a vanilla tank, it has to be connected right there. So let's just get that connected that way then. Yep, that's working. Okay, and then of course we can just feed it outward whenever we need it. So there is our petrochem oil tank, and it is filling up with ferric chloride. So that is that sorted out. And then what are you doing there? I'm going to just pick that up and put it down somewhere else. There we go. Cool. Now I did also, I think, have a commenter saying I was doing something extremely silly, and I don't blame them unless I've already covered this one. Let's just have a look. Is it in here? Yes, this is where I'm doing something extremely silly. So you can see down here I have a hydro plant. It's working quite nicely. One output is going straight into a clarifier. The other output is coming to purified water. This is right next to our air plant, which is backed up, so I can remove some of these after knowing exactly how many I need. The sulfuric acid is the actual thing we need out of here, and it's backed up as well. But purified water, off it goes down into a pipe, into an electrolyzer, which is splitting into hydrogen and oxygen, and the hydrogen and oxygen are going into a chemical plant which is producing purified water. Purified water. Purified water. Oh. Okay. Now, of course, we are using... Okay, so we are getting oxygen, I should say. So yes, it is not just... It's not just this that we're actually needing. We are needing the oxygen as well. So that is for something else. But consider we're generating oxygen for other things. via different methods. You know, for example, well, I have air right here, and that is generating oxygen coming out. I don't technically need any of this. So off you go. Off you go. And look at that. Isn't that so much nicer? I think so. Yep. And let's just connect them up. Okay. Nothing to it. We can just pick all these up and see if we can get that nicely connected. Ah, just one short. And everything's good. We can even collect some of these as well and have most of it run underground. All right, so that is working fine and it's outputting. And that is being output to the top and also down here to this one plant here that's producing the actual sulfuric acid. So that's going to work just fine. And that was something silly. Thank you very much for the comments. Sorry, I've forgotten your name. You know who you are. You suggested that. And I think maybe another one did a few episodes ago and I just completely missed it. So, yep, many apologies. I just forgot to remove the last electrolyzer when I was tidying that up. Anyway, you can see we've got lots of nice stuff backing up here. Lots of basically iron and copper and everything else. Which means, of course, we're getting lots of stuff in our mall that's now building up. In particular, I just want to make sure I limit these boxes to just a stack in most cases. Here, I don't mind leaving that open, but maybe just, I don't know, 4 stacks eventually. So I can just pop along and just pick up some of this whenever we get it. There's not a huge amount coming through, of course. We are going to need to get other stuff going there, but it's good for now. My inventory's full again, so yeah, I need to fix that. Regardless, we've done the ferric chloride. Now we need to think about, is there any other subcomponents behind this that we can do? So if we have a look in here, electronic circuit boards again. Circuit boards, we've got... We can't do the phenolic yet because we need to explore. So that's out. But transistors, is there anything in here? Well, we need plastic and we need silicon wafers. And silicon wafers are the obvious target there because plastic needs a bunch of other research. But it's research that's already available to us. And it's only 50, so we can start that right now. What do we need to make liquid plastic? We need propene. Yes. Okay, propene, and that's not propane, by the way, or not propylene, or anything else. So, yeah. Bear in mind, some pronunciations of chemicals will be different between UK English and US English, so occasionally I may say things that sound wrong in your particular area. I'm sorry, it's just the way, we speak. Or if someone from the UK is condemning me, then I've personally got it wrong, and again, I'm sorry again. Apologize too much. It's like I'm Canadian and offending yet another country. There's no problem. Anyway, so we need to basically get propene, and we've got a few possible recipes there. Red metal catalyst we are not ready for because if we go back through that, we need metal catalyst. Oh no, we could make that. Yeah, we could make them already, but I'll be using up iron and copper. I'd rather not if there's an alternative. Methanol. Methanol will convert to propene and residual gas. Methanol is a few recipes that can just be made straight from cellulose fiber, and we know where that comes from. Yep, it comes from yet another algae supply that we may need. So, yep, that can be converted. Is there any other way of getting it? Methanol from methane and steam. Okay, so methane and steam. Well, we know we already can make steam, of course, and we need to get gas steam cracking. But methane then is natural gas liquids. Okay, and natural gas liquids, if I remember rightly, is like one of the first steps of actually getting this whole thing, which is natural gas. It comes from raw gas, as you might imagine. Well, it's basically slightly processed gas. And that comes from multi-phase oil, which is the first starter step. This is where you start to produce every kind of oil under the sun and chemicals from it. Well, we get crude and we turn crude into other stuff, but in the meantime, we need multi-phase oil. And that is made, oh, well, you can get it from crude oil, I suppose. If we had a spot that we have crude oil in, I haven't seen any so far. It's not like the vanilla game. Which means we need blue cellulose fiber, which is blue algae. Okay, so that, again, is something we'll need. Blue algae has a special recipe. Sulfuric wastewater, carbon dioxide, produces blue algae, and there's not much else that does. So we're going to need those two things if we want to start this whole chain of plastic off. So it might be worthwhile us working on a few of that. So let's just take a look at blue algae, and then we just stop having to click through everything to get to it. So blue Yeah, there it is. So sulfuric wastewater is something we get anyway, and we're probably already getting it. I'm not sure if we're getting enough of it to actually warrant this. And carbon dioxide, well, we can get it from various things. Burning wood pellets, no. Carbon monoxide, I'd rather something rather simple if possible. Limestone, yes. So we know we get that as part of our lime processing, which is where we are generating some stuff already. Now, the lime and limestone is already used in other areas as well, so we are going to need maybe to pull that off. That's a possibility. Is there anything else that I can actually get from that? Blue cellulose fiber and steam gets us both of the things we actually want. Yeah. So we are going to be getting some of this back from blue cellulose fiber once it goes through blue algae. How much is another question entirely. So I'm just going to go and investigate if I've got anywhere else I've got carbon dioxide being pulled off in the factory and sulfuric wastewater if they're anywhere close to each other, and I'll come back in a minute. Yes, it's used here in our existing processes. We're using it to generate this sulfur that appears in this particular building. It comes all the way from over here, and we're generating that sulfur by processing the sulfuric wastewater from the crystal slurry, and that is being used anyway, and we've got lots and lots and lots of sulfur, so it wouldn't be a problem if we do get rid of it. However, that's not the only place we are using it, or we are creating it, I should say. We aren't doing it right here just yet. Let me just get into one of these. One of these I have more advanced refining in it. Here it is. So givolite. Now givolite is generating fluoric wastewater. Okay, but that same process can generate sulfuric wastewater, and we get other stuff too. Okay, so in here we can, if we just look at sulfuric wastewater, if we want some of it, we can convert crushed sapphirite, which is what we're doing right now, and we can convert it into sapphirite chunks, some blue geodes, and some sulfuric wastewater. And that's pretty much awesome. We need purified water as well, but hey, we just had some of that around, so that's possible to make. And yeah, we need again our flotation cells to get that to actually work. So maybe we'll just try converting our sort of crushed sapphirite into sapphirite chunks, and the sapphirite chunks themselves can then be processed into other stuff. What we want is this first recipe whereby we take this and we still get some stuff out. The only problem, well, maybe 6 goes to 2 iron and 1 copper. What happens one step back? What does this turn into? So 4. Yeah, so I'll be losing. I'm sacrificing iron and copper, which I really actually want. So nope, we're not going to do that. We need to go further down the chunks to basically make pure iron via some other catalysts. It's a different recipe entirely. You do get more out of it then, but I don't want to sacrifice the iron more than anything else. So I will get that from another source, maybe even share it with this one because we've got lots of sulfur. We can just basically put an overflow valve on here. If I have one. I don't think I have one in my inventory. Put overflow valve here, going this to the right, and then it'll be available everywhere else until it hits 80%, and then it'll actually get disposed of. So yeah, I need to go and dump some of this stuff in my inventory, and then we'll set up a line to basically make everything else we need from the sulfuric wastewater. Now, rather handily, there's an excellent and quite easy way of generating carbon dioxide. Charcoal, which is pretty much carbon, and we are going to be able to just create it directly via way of liquefier, which has 1.5 crafting speed, or yet another chemical plant. Either way will work. And then we have this running right here. You see this charcoal line here that goes into our sulfur plant? Well, this is where we're already making our rather valuable mineral sludge, which is backed up rather nicely. We need to get more plants running to use it. And I've got the nice sulfuric wastewater coming out there with the nice overflow valve there. And that means I can put a building right next door. Kind of handy, isn't it? Almost spookily handy. I did not plan for this, I absolutely promise. And you should know, given me, I never planned for these things. We're able to just basically feed this in, although it is going right to left, and I sort of prefer left to right things, but, you know, it is going to feed in. And we can bring it in here. We can also bring in near the top. In fact, we're probably going to move this across a little bit. So maybe we just put it there. And we can pull the sulfuric wastewater from that one into this one. And in it goes. So we've now got basically 2 inputs. One here and one right around. Was it the top one? Yes, it was the top one. So we've now got our 2 inputs, and we can directly make what we need from them. So first of all, we need to make carbon dioxide, so another chemical plant, and I'm probably going to make a couple of these because I may need a couple anyway. And I've already got one in my inventory. Thank you. So that can come in, and then we'll just actually feed this past here. So let's just make carbon dioxide, please. Yep. And let's just dump this in. Okay. And we'll just feed that in. So carbon dioxide is going to come out, and because it's just working like this, it'll just work on demand. I shouldn't need to actually do anything else. As we need more carbon dioxide, it'll just use up more charcoal, and we should be hopefully providing enough of that for this whole process. So then, with that, both of those, we can then make blue algae, and they can only be made in an algae farm, of course, and we have both of our inputs. So I guess we're going to have to look for an algae farm. Do I already have some in my inventory? Algae farm. I should have. Yes, well, I've got one. Not exactly what I was looking for, but yeah, we're going to need two sort of gas inputs to this. So let's just put it on this left side, and let's see if we can get one of them to be what we need. Blue algae, so the sulfuric acid, the sulfuric wastewater is on the top, and the carbon dioxide is on the bottom, and I think I want that to be a little bit nicer laid out. So that's going away for a second. And I want them to be in line where possible. So, yep, that's it. My personal sort of thing going. Yep, that can go there. Then we can just feed the belt upwards. And maybe I can have another one up here later if we want it. Doesn't really much matter there. And let's just get our inserter right there. And a carbon dioxide, please. Is that the wrong carbon dioxide recipe? It is. Carbon. No, that's not the right one. I can make it directly with carbon purified water as well, but let's just use charcoal for now, and people will tell me in the comments if it's horrendously inefficient and not suitable for use, but for now that will work fine. And there. Okay, so that's all connected, and then we'll just connect up the top just with a regular straight pipe, and off it goes. It's going to start producing blue algae. Blue algae, in turn, we're going to then turn into blue cellulose fiber. So that's going to need to be put onto a belt somewhere and then into an assembly machine where that's going to be made into the blue cellulose fiber, which is then going to go across into multi-phase oil and some sulfuric wastewater. Maybe we want to move this one further across so I can get sulfuric wastewater back up to the top, but I'll do that off camera. And we get some carbon dioxide out of it as well. So we're going to want to set up some valves here to make sure this is nice and efficient. Back in a second. Okay, next stage, we're already making the blue cellulose fiber now. We need an oil refinery, which is huge by comparison to everything else. And it's going to need a couple of inputs. We're going to need, obviously, this blue cellulose fiber, but we're going to need other stuff as well. We need multi-phase oil, so there it is. And it wants steam as an input. Now, of course, we can go and grab this from up here, our charcoal input. It's not terribly efficient, though, is that charcoal, by comparison to other stuff, which we have right over here. I'm not quite so sure if I'm just, gonna pollute this whole thing with lots of different stuff I may not want to, but at least we'll get us started. And I'm just going to use the wrong tier of this just to get that going. Yeah. So we now should be able to feed in basically a much better fuel source. Do I have any of the lower form of splitters here? I don't. Let's just use the better ones. We will be upgrading everything to the higher form of belt anyway at some point, so we may as well have that going. And then let's just turn it in here. And then into that one, okay? It doesn't really much matter which input we use, but that's going to feed in to be able to make a boiler go. And we're going to need some water, but we can, of course, make that locally, just as we do before. Boiler 2 or boiler 1, both should be fine. So I already have an offshore pump. There's a boiler 2. So I'm going to need water to come in here. So if I just feed this in over here, that may well actually work quite well as far as location is concerned. Let's bring that down. Okay, and we can just feed that in with that. Over here, we can then basically have our steam line coming in across here. And that will connect there, and then we just need water, basically. And the water will hopefully line up along here. And we'll just have it connected with a, a straight piece on the outside. And then straight piece on the outside here with some water fill. Remember not to kill yourself with the water fill, as I have been doing. And then our nice pump where we can fill in the rest of the ground there and have a nice local well. And why are you not connected? You're probably one too far away, aren't you? Yep. Yep. That should be connected. Why no water? Oh, is that the wrong one? Yeah, this is the wrong one. Okay, so now we should have water connected. There we go. Water. Cool. So that's going to go through, going to produce steam. Steam's going to go back over here, which we've got. And then we can just feed this in. Okay. Off it goes. We're probably going to need more inserters than that. We may have to deal with something else, so I may have to move these around. But you can see from our outputs, we've got 3 different outputs, and 2 of them are quite handy. So yes, we need to connect those up properly. And that means we want to basically have an arrangement over here where this output is used preferentially over this one. So remember, we had those different valves that we can actually create, and some of them are very handy for this kind of thing. So check valve, no, only allows one directional flow. No, we want only allows flow if the input side is above 80%, or indeed allows flow if the output side is below 80%. That's the one we want. We want the top valve. There it is. I'm going to just erase this thing here. Okay, and then the output being above 80% is what we're going to be basically assessing here. We're going to get this running across, and oh, that's the wrong. That's not the one I want, but I'll also have one of those there. We can just do it this way. So let's get that going sort of over here. And then we can just connect upwards. Okay, so if at any point this can't provide enough, we'll just feed in some more charcoal into the machine and off it'll go. Otherwise, it's going to use basically our supply down here. Sulfuric wastewater, we're also going to be able to use that as well. And we want the same kind of approach with that. To do that, we're just going to get another one of these underground belts for a second. And we are just going to feed this down here to give us plenty of room. We're going to get over to the side and up to the top. And not there. I'll compact that later. And then all I want to do here is remove this, put another valve in. Top up valve. And up that goes. And that can go there. So again, if this doesn't feed enough back out again, it will happily use the secondary input from the other building. Lastly, is the stuff we want. It's this one right here. We can take this out. And we can just send it this way, maybe. And here's our multi-phase oil. Yeah. So we've now got oil, which let's just take a look at phase. Multi-phase oil, with which we can do an awful lot of stuff. Leads us to plastics. We can also process it in a oil and gas separator and get even more sulfuric wastewater back out again. So yeah, that we can even have another prioritized system getting rid of that. There is, I guess, just barrel or void it. We're not going to want any of those. So I'm just going to build an oil gas separator, assuming I can actually make one. Can I actually gas separator? Sep. Need more iron. Okay, let's just sort that out. And here's our oil and gas separator. This is going to accept whatever we've got as an input. For example, right here, we can accept that directly. We may want multiple of these, so we may want to actually balance this a little better. But for now, that will work. And this is going to separate out into our 3 different things. So we've got our raw gas, our crude oil, and our sulfuric wastewater, of which that happens to be at the bottom. And that's kind of nice, because this thing will actually attach to everything else, and that will work. I've already replaced that piece of pipe right there with basically a top-up valve. So ideally, this one is going to supply everything. And if it can't, this is going to kick in. And even so, if that can't even supply it, then this is going to kick in. I don't have them all in series yet. This one and this one will work in parallel. I may not want to do that. I may have to actually feed them in to make sure the one at a time will kick in to make sure that this is very much the last thing that we actually pull from. But otherwise, that's going to get started anyway, and we can fix it all later, providing us with crude oil and raw gas. And at this point, we can decide what we want to do with those. So, multi-phase oil to crude oil, and that gets us a bunch of stuff we're going to use elsewhere: base mineral oil, fuel oil, naphtha, etc. Crude oil barrels. It's pretty much all the same stuff. Yeah, so we will want each of those three. That's not the one that we want initially for plastics. Plastics, we want raw gas to natural gas to methane to something else. Methanol, was it, if I remember rightly? Methanol to eventually to plastics, or to propene, sorry. Propene to liquid plastic, and around we go. That's going to be another episode. I'm going to take this output from here, and we're going to probably just want to sort of buffer it. So wherever we put this for the moment is fine. I'm just going to put it maybe sort of getting this to actually go into the right place is something else. I'm going to put a tank here. I'm just going to buffer the crude oil until we want it later. And then we're also going to be able to get that the natural gas. And of course, I will just get another tank, I think, for that. At least for the moment between the episodes, and we can always remove it later. It's no big loss anyway. We're producing these pretty much infinitely, so it's not an issue. And then we're going to be processing that into plastics. So today it's been basically our multi-phase oil, and it's also been ferric chloride. Next episode is going to be plastics and getting that up and running, and then we're into more stuff towards advanced circuits. So I hope you've got a good idea of where we're actually going with this. If you don't, or if you're having problems, do let me know in the comments down below, and we'll see if we can solve your problems there, or indeed other commenters as well will be able to do that just fine as well. There are plenty of really good players on the actual channel. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you have, give it a thumbs up, always helps the channel. Feel free to put comments down below, of course, and we'll see you next time for some more Seablock. As always, guys, thanks for watching.